Hello, my Kandor crafters. You wanted it, so you got it. Today we will be making roses made out of cardstock paper. And I just wanted to insert some, quick little videos showing you guys what projects I've done with these cardstock flowers. The materials are very simple. First, you're going to need cardstock paper, of course. Please, 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 I beg of you, get solid core paper and not white core paper, because no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, but to me, when you use white core paper, it looks very tacky. And when I say tacky, I just means that it takes away from the overall look of the flower itself. I will say you need this quilling tool. It's only $8 and is usually on sale, or you can use a coupon, or you can even go on Amazon and get some quilling tools for cheaper. But I promise you, you can use your fingers, but your fingers are going to be hurting. This is an investment that you need, okay? Thank me later. When it comes to design space, honestly, I just use this rectangle as a guide because the paper is 8.5 by 11. So I just like to see how much space I can utilize, how big to make my flowers, how small to make them. It's really just the guide. And from there, I go to the images and I type in flower shop with 2 P's and an E at the end. And I use the hashtag M3D7E1. There are many different flowers that you can roll like this one, but me personally, this is my favorite one. I would just like to note that you do need Cricut access to use this flower, but you didn't hear this from me. But you can also use your rectangle to slice this said pattern and just delete the original one and the rest of the rectangle and just use it like that. But like I said, you didn't hear that from me. When it comes to sizing your flowers, honestly, I just use a guide from Jennifer Maker. But for the purpose of this video, I just want to make my flower as big as possible so you guys can get the full effect of the flower. For the settings, I just go ahead and click medium cardstock and I do more pressure. After my Cricut finishes cutting, of course, I'll just take it off the mat. And this part is very, very important because I feel like this extra little step just makes it so much easier in the end. I pre-bend my flowers because when it comes time to roll, it's already in the shape that it needs to go. So I pre-bend all of my flowers first, getting all the way to the last little tab. The last tab I do not bend because that's the bottom of the flower. Now it's time to actually roll your flower. So you take the end of the flower, not the circle part, but the actual petal part, and put your quilling tool at the very, very edge of the paper, and then you just start rolling. And this is exactly why I pre-bent my flower first, because it just makes it easier to just roll. And then I just make sure you're very careful on this part. That's why I made this real time so you can see just how long it takes. And honestly, I'm just moving a little bit slower for demonstration purposes. When your little roll starts getting, and make sure this is tight. You want to make sure your flower is tightly rolled. So once it starts getting big enough, I take my thumb and my middle finger. I put the bottom of the flower on top of my thumb to help, kind of just guide it. And then my middle finger is the top of the flower. And then my pointer finger is just, gliding along. I hope this makes sense. All right, so when you get to the end of your flower, you want to go ahead and take out your quilling tool, take that little bottom tab, the little circular one, and put it at the base of your flower. I like to kind of shape the flower like between my fingers before, I let it go. And then after I do that, I just let her blossom. If this is your first time doing these flowers, don't get discouraged. Just go ahead and take your time with it. It's just cardstock paper. You can roll it, unroll it, like it's not a big deal. You got this. I'm going to go ahead and insert some of my first flowers that look terrible, my little struggle flowers, what I call them. But practice makes perfect. I low-key forgot to plug up my glue gun. So while that's heating up, I'm going to just go ahead and roll another one. Again, I want to emphasize, you want to make sure your flower is rolled tightly, because at the end, when you let it blossom, it's going to loosen up. So you don't want a really, really loose flower. Before you hot glue your flower, you want to go ahead and play with the petals. Make sure they're in the position you want them to be. Because once you put the hot glue on your flowers, you have literally probably like 5 to 10 seconds to make sure your flower is how you want it to look. And you don't have to use hot glue gun. You can use whatever you have, okay? But y'all know I'm impatient. And, if you use regular glue, you can play with your petals as long as you want to, because you have ample amount of time to until your glue dries. So, but if you use a hot glue, you got about 5, 10, maybe 15 seconds to make sure your flower is exactly how you want it. All right, one more time for the road. I'm doing this flower from start to finish with no waiting for the glue gun to heat up. I'm going to take this time out to note that if you were to use white core paper, that the top of your flower would be white. So instead of it being red, it would be white, which is why I said it takes away from the aesthetic of the flower itself, because it will look like paper. So solid core paper is when the paper on the inside and the outside are the same color as the paper. So if you were to rip it, it's still going to be red. If you were to get white core paper, if you were to rip it, the inside of the paper will be white. Now here's what my roses look like before I roll the petals. And a lot of people, they stop at this point. But to give it more of a realistic look, I like to roll my petals. In my opinion, it just gives it a little more oomph, a little bit more detail. When you roll your petals, all you have to do is take the very top of the petal and put it into your quilling tool and just roll down and roll right back up. This is all about personal preference, so you can roll as many petals as you want or as little petals as you want. And honestly, each flower is just like a snowflake. Each one is different, so some flowers may need a little bit more rolling of the petals. Some may not need as much, Like I said, this is all about personal preference. And to add just a little razzle dazzle, I like to put these Dollar Tree pearls in the middle of my flowers. I love these so much because literally one pack has 4 different size pearls, and then they have the little holes on each side, so they're so easy to pick up. With this quilling tool, I just stab one side and then just place it in the middle, making sure that the hole is not seen. And I feel like it just takes it up, another notch. It makes it look so elegant. Like, I love it. And if you rolled your flowers tight enough, like I said, you don't even have to glue the pearl down. Like, it just stays in place. Like, it's just so perfect. Again, it's all about personal preference, so you definitely don't have to put the pearl in the middle. You can just leave it as is, and it will still be beautiful. I mostly use these flowers in my shadow boxes that I gift to people, but you can use it for whatever you see fit. I do have a shadow box tutorial coming in the future, so be on the lookout for that. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, so much for subscribing. I made it to 2K, like, unbelievable, like, so unbelievable. So I thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, you already know I have no problem answering. And thank you again. Until next time, my Kandor crafters.